Bleach Bros, bro.
Welcome into the Bleach Brothers podcast. This is B-Word, and as usual, I am here with my co-host, Jake the Hater, Jake the Tailgater, or as I like to say, Jake the Numbskull. What's up, dude?
Why every week do you introduce me like somebody else is going to be here? Like every week, I am here with Jake. I'm here. If I wasn't here, we wouldn't be the Bleach Bros.
So first off, Bleach Bros is an earned title, not a given title. Okay, so calm your tits on that one, number one. Number two, here's what I have to say is that the fans log in for me, so I've been told.
Fuck you.
Robert the Bear loves me, thank you. So the fact that you want to get all entitled with your ego and your Twitter followers and all that sort of shit, none of that's my business, my man.
I'm not getting into it with my ego. I'm getting into it with you because I don't understand who else the fuck you're going to introduce.
Well, I am going to introduce a fellow Bleach Bro. So let me back this up real quick. We've got a total of how many Bleach Bros, Jake?
4. Well,
there are four Bleach Bro OGs, right? And we kind of have a fifth in your brother-in-law, but he's not part of the how did we become Bleach Bros, correct?
Yeah, he doesn't understand it still. He's still thinking it's like as innocent as NSYNC with frosted tips.
Yes. And we'll get into that in this episode because we are welcoming in Mitch, fellow Bleach Bro. Welcome in, buddy. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
It has been
doing fine, man.
A damn long time, Mitch.
Long time.
Damn long time.
Years and years and years.
I think we're almost at, I don't think the three of us have been in the same place for, what, a decade almost?
Almost. Yeah. It was the weekend I was moving my wife up here when we first started dating. We stopped and Mitch let me stay at his house.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, you did. I remember that.
That was very friendly of you, where you had, I got to stay in the Green Lantern room, as I call it.
Is that right?
Oh, that's right. That's right, because you had, I remember your room, dude. That was pretty spiffy back then.
That room has evolved and become so much more in the last decade, I tell you.
Oh,
I remember you had one of those giant like cutouts, like not just like the normal posters of a movie. You had the cutouts of was it all the Avengers?
Yeah,
and you like piece it all together on the wall.
Yeah, like the fat heads. Yeah. That was actually something I didn't steal, but I took from work. Whenever new movies would hit like that and the stores would go after the promos, we would take pieces of those giant displays you see, and I have quite a few.
Well, that was a great night. I remember one other part of that night was where we decided to go get Blue Moon at a gas station. And as soon as we got back to your house, Mitch, everybody instantly regretted it because it was 2 a.m. and I would not shut the fuck up and I was buzzed. And everybody was just like, Jake, we need to go to bed. Yeah, but anyways, let's just do this.
That's kind of how I remember it too. Yep. So, Mitch, you and I go back to what? I think so. We're what, a year apart? Is that right?
A year apart.
And was it my 5th grade year, your 4th grade year? Or
yes.
My 4th grade year, your 3rd grade year?
No, it was 4th for me with that really weird turtle looking teacher guy in Beatty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So for the audience that kind of knows a little bit about Jake and my history, how we met in elementary school, I met Mitch probably the year after that, maybe 2 years after that, whatever it might be.
After you met Jake?
Yeah, we met in 2nd grade.
Yeah, and so it was, so between you two, I don't know that I mean, aside from cousins and different things like that, I don't know that I know people longer than you two. So the fact that we are Bleach Bros, regardless of circumstances, we will always have that infamous night.
That one magic night.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I was
And
gonna
we'll
say
get into that.
or circumcisions, right? Isn't it?
Well,
that-
yeah, something like that, right? So, but and then we became friends with Jake, but you ended up moving before I did. I think you moved a year before I did to Pahrump, and you ended up meeting Jake. I want to say like you were in high school, right? Like freshmen, we were sophomores or something.
Yeah, I met him much later.
Yeah, he was little then, dude. He was little and tiny.
Jake was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing big on him was the piece of wood that he had in his
I
pants.
have probably still, I have pictures from my 15th birthday, which is the one just days after I was diagnosed, and you guys were both there.
Yeah.
And this dude in the pool is, he looked like a pool noodle, you know?
that was that's what I was noodle necking Carly, my girlfriend at the time in high school.
Yes.
And we were all out in the pool. We were in the above ground pool, all making out with girls. And that was one of the coolest parties ever. That's all, I think all we did was just get wet. And
it was
try to
actually
get
a
them wet.
really cool party. And the thing that I remember about that the most is that my girlfriend at the time, we had split up. And
Denied access.
Yeah, she showed up to the front door. Like my most asshole-ish moment probably in my whole life. She showed up to the front door with a present for you, no less.
Yeah.
And your mom said, thank you, have a good day, and let her go. And I look back at that and I'm like, no wonder why things turned out with her the way that they did. But regardless, that was a fun night, man.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun nights, actually.
Hold on. I like how you're saying it was a fun night the night he was diagnosed. Let's just reevaluate.
Wow, that was weeks prior, but you know.
Yeah. So so real quick, you're not a Make-A-Wish kid. So I don't want to say that you were diagnosed with something.
No.
Terminal per se, but for the audience, you want to open up a little bit if you'd like to, as far as what you were diagnosed with and
yeah,
how that came about.
I actually just celebrated 20 years as I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So I'm insulin dependent and healthy, I guess. Things. I mean, it's just one of those things. Yeah, it's it's a lifelong thing, and you deal with it as you go along. But 20 years later, here we are doing a podcast, and no big deal.
Yeah. So we have a fourth Bleach Bro who's not here, but I do want to make mention of something because this was one of the funniest days that I think ever happened. So the fourth Bleach Bro, his name is Jim. We'll just leave it at Jim. And we couldn't get in touch with him to be on the podcast today. People lose touch after however many years, and that's totally fine. But do you guys remember the day when Jim not only got in one car accident, but two car accidents and lost both of his mirrors on his Geo Metro?
Yeah, I do, because I also remember he had a tendency with that Geo Metro to pull the e-brake in the middle of the road.
Everywhere.
Yep.
And everywhere you'd go, you'd be driving down, he'd be flying with that Geo Metro, and all of a sudden you'd look at Jim and he'd give you that smile and he would just pull it and you'd start spinning in that dark blue nutsack of a car.
You ever see him go spinning by you and you weren't in the car?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, there he goes. He pulled the e-brake right there.
Well, there was a girl that you guys both dated, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Regardless, Jim and whoever she was broke up, and we had left Mr. Tucker's class in the middle of Mr. Tucker's class to go down to the gas station to get some sort of snack.
As we did every Mr. Tucker's
every
class.
day.
Yeah. And so we were in Jim's Geo Metro. And here's what I remember about Jim's Geo Metro. There was not a speedometer in that car.
No.
All he had was a tachometer.
Yeah.
So you really didn't know how fast he was going. But here's what I know is all the way to the gas station, I'm poking him. I'm just poking the bear. I'm like, so why'd you guys break up? Was it your fault? Did you not buy her flowers? Did you get some of that, man? Huh? Did you hit it? Did you hit it? So we get to the gas station and he's fucking pissed. He's like, shut the fuck up. Okay, fine. Well, I didn't learn. So as we're going back to school, like, hey man, you going to try to make it work? You going to say you're sorry? You going to do blah, 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 blah? Next thing I know, we are pinned at 6,500 RPMs in third gear, and the motherfucker pulls the e-brake. And my windows were down, dude. These roll-down windows were down. And we started spinning, and we we went broadside into the dirt, and the car flipped up on its side, which just so happened to be the side with my window down. Dude, I got punched by a sagebrush so hard in the mouth. When that car came back down on its rubbers, he looks at me and he says, "Have you had enough?" Yes, I did. That was the moment I had enough.
Please don't hit me with the desert again.
Yeah, no kidding.
Jim was a good guy. I remember because him and I met around the same time me and B-Word did, because we were on the same soccer team, and he introduced me to how bad your nutsack could hurt. And what I mean by that is he walked up to me and went, "Do you know how to do the splits?" And I said, "No." He goes, "Why don't you try?" And I tried, and he pushed me all the way down. And it hurt so bad. And then, no, him and I became college roommates. And I will say this. I will throw out an apology, because I was a total douche fucking wagon to live with that first year of college. Like, we were just polar. Like, we already know, especially on this show, my idiosyncrasies and how fucking crazy I could be. We were like the odd couple living together that, like, at the end of the relationship, when they both pulled a knife and tried to slit each other's throats, that's how it was. We could have not been any more different. Just time schedule, messiness, cleanliness, organization, everything. So I will throw that out there if Jim ever listens, that I was sorry for how I probably was to live with at the time. I was not probably the best individual to be around. But no, me and him, we lived together in college. Had a great like first year, besides the living together like issues we had. Hung out with another group of friends and everything. So I was sad that he couldn't come on. I know we reached out to him, so hopefully he can listen, because, not just totally shitting on the dude with his Geo Metro, but
I have one more quick story about Jim before we get into a different topic.
Okay.
So when we were in high school, like, we didn't have cell phones. Like, it wasn't a thing, right? I mean, some people had cell phones, but we didn't have cell phones. For the most part, people having computers in every home wasn't even a realization, right?
Right.
So some of us had the dial-up internet, some of us didn't. I was one that was fortunate enough to have a dial-up internet, and so was Jim. And I'm at Jim's house, and he tells me, he says, "You should set up an email." Why should I set up an email? Well, it's a good way to communicate with people. You could send messages back and forth, and you can kind of do whatever. Okay, fine. That's great. So he helps me set up an email. So I set up an email. I don't even remember what it was, but it was something hella cool. I know that. And so a few weeks later, I start getting emails from myself that says, "I've hacked your email. I know your password. And you now owe me money." And I'm freaking out, dude. I read this. I shut the computer off. I turn it back on. I don't know how to fix this, right? Well, come to find out, this motherfucker kept my email password. And so he would occasionally send me emails, and we would correspond to each other through my email alone, because I didn't know how to get him off of my email. Finally, I changed the password and it stopped. But yeah, that's who Jim was. He was a character. He was, or I should say, is a character. He was a good dude to hang around with for sure in that age, because we all had a lot of things in common. We all had some things that drove each other nuts. But I think the thing that kind of bound us together through that time of adolescence was our humor and also our interests. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, I mean, because I remember going
absolutely.
to his house with the computers, and him and I had a chat name, because we'd go into chat rooms, because that was the thing, right? And we'd chat with girls, and we were known as Two Big Monkeys. That was the name Jim came up with for us. So before Dicks Out for Harambe was the thing, we were Dicks Out for but
There it is.
no, the thing was, is he was a great guy, or is a great guy, I'll say it, because I think the last time we actually all saw each other besides me and my wife moving up was at his wedding.
His wedding,
yeah. The funny part about his wedding is that our gifts to him symbolized our time together.
That's in a picture, right?
I don't know if I have a picture, to be honest with you.
The four of us, we took a picture. I don't know who has it. I might have a copy of it.
Jim, I think, did, because I cooked pulled pork for you guys, all of us. Yeah,
it was we were out around your campfire or your fire pit that night.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
And then I was asked not to give a toast the next day. By everybody.
All I remember is my fat ass was lifted up by everybody at that party. And there's a photo of that somewhere too, and I don't remember where it's at. But that was a moment I thought I was flying. It was pretty awesome. So one of the things that um, we all had in common when we were kids is like Saturday morning cartoons, comic books, of course the X-Men cartoons, right? We all love those. But we became pretty fond of everything nerd stuff. I know that on the podcast, Jake and I talk a lot about different nerd stuff and whatever. And most recently, I think one of our Nerdgasm movies came out, Spider-Man No Way Home. Did both of you guys get a chance to see that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Opening night. Yeah.
So I did too. I was in Mexico when it first came out, so I didn't get to see it opening night. Since then, I've seen it twice. I will probably see it one more time, to be quite honest with you. But I'm going to start off with Mitch. Mitch, as a guest of our show, what did you think of Spider-Man No Way Home? And what sort of things are you either excited about, or what did you not like about the movie?
I'll tell you this. I ever since I saw the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds in it, I suspend all expectation going into any comic book movie, no matter what the hype or anything is, because I was geeked for the Green Lantern, and I was let down beyond everything I could have hoped for. And I was actually really upset with all the push and everything from the fan base about revealing in the trailers and all these things before we could even get to the movie. So I tried to dodge the internet as much as I could. Just going into No Way Home, I was blown away by that movie. The MCU in itself is so massive and so big, but we got a proper kind of Spider-Man reset in the MCU from this movie, and everything just worked so well together. I loved pretty much everything about it. I don't think I had a scene where I was disappointed. I think everybody delivered really in their own way. I'll tell you, I am glad that we still don't know who Uncle Ben is, and we're not playing in that
sandbox.
We're not playing in that because it at this point it just doesn't even fit into the MCU, right? And I think that the way that they brought that line out for this version of Spider-Man just plays so much better. So really just a great movie all the way through.
Perfect. I agree with you. Jake, what's your takeaway of this movie?
I'm going to miss Marissa Tomei's nipples.
There it is.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But
seriously,
no,
like not to interrupt you here real quick, but I'm going to do it. Her best movie, like it's arguable that her best movie is like My Cousin Vinny or something like that, right? Her best movie is The Wrestler. Her nipples were the star of that movie. It was an amazing movie. So anyway, back to Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, before I get off on a Mickey Rourke and Marissa Tomei nipple tangent, I will admit this. I was wrong. I really liked it. I had moments that pissed me off, but more because of the crowd in the theater. People would not stop cheering and clapping, so there were scenes that I couldn't really hear that well. Also, I was the lunatic, and fuck you if you don't know this yet. Spoilers are in this. When Toby got stabbed by the Green Goblin, I laughed out loud and yelled yes.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, thank you. And the girl in front of me turned around and went, "What is wrong with you?" And my friend that was with me, Ben, because it was Jake and Ben day, he just laughed and goes, "You have no idea what's wrong with this guy," because I'm all for the villains. But see, it brought me to I mean, I will say this: Andrew Garfield's my favorite Spider-Man. I'll just
Hands
say that
down.
now.
Hands down.
I remember a conversation that me and Mitch had when we nerded out at his house the last time we saw each other, was where we were talking about why Andrew Garfield is going to be the best Spider-Man before it came out. And it was all due to the scene where he was wearing the fireman helmet. And Mitch just looks at me and goes, "That's how Spider-Man is in the comics. That's how he belongs to be." And that quote always stuck with me, and it makes sense. I loved how they introduced the characters. They wrapped things up. Everything was in a neat little bow, and I usually hate things like that, but it worked. It was a great movie. the longer I thought about it, the more I enjoyed it, and the way they answered questions, because I think we go away from these movies a lot going, well, what does this mean, and how are they going to do this, and where does this go? This could end, and I could be happy, and it can
I agree
continue,
with
and
you
I'll
there
be happy.
too.
Yeah,
I agree with you there too. Jake, we've had discussions, you and I, about who the best Batman is or who the best whatever character is. And I think so I'm mixed in who's the best Spidey in the live action movies. And here's the reason why. I think Tobey in the original Spider-Man trilogy, I think he's the best Peter Parker. And I think Andrew Garfield is the best Spider-Man. But I think Tom Holland is the best of both worlds. Would you guys agree with that or disagree with that? Jake, let's go with you first.
Disagree, because I think Tom Holland, okay, he encapsulates your what you just said in the last movie only. I don't think he has shown character range or development on either side of being Peter Parker or Spidey. And mind you, it's not totally his fault. He has relied too much on Stark technology. He has relied too much on not having to really do much to either be Peter Parker for one, and two, be Spider-Man for one. He hasn't really had to do much in either of those films. So while I'll agree with you to the point of for the last film, yes, he is that. But Andrew Garfield is my favorite Spider-Man, and Tobey Maguire is my favorite Peter Parker. I think the other thing that we do is that we equate the MCU in a whole, because all these characters are part of it, into how good something is or how good somebody is. And I don't think that's right either, because I think the MCU is better Spider-Man's better because of the MCU rather than the MCU is better because of Spider-Man, if that makes sense.
I think that's a really good point. Mitch, what do you think on that?
I got to agree with Jake on a lot of what he just said, because kind of like when you guys are talking about the best Batman, the way that everything's been going lately with comic books, when you're talking about like the Arrowverse crossovers and all these different Batman movies that are being produced right now, and now we've confirmed that these Spider-Man characters all live in their own universes but cross. Tom Holland is not the best of anything. The Stark technology suits are the best of, and you're right, his Peter Parker, we don't have enough character development in Peter Parker to really understand that character. All we know is that what we've seen from his rapid introduction into the MCU. Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker, his version of him and his Spider-Man are probably the best of both worlds for me, because
really,
because when you can relate to Peter Parker, that makes that character stronger, and I can relate to to Andrew's Peter Parker a little bit more than Tobey's or Tom's. And then the tragedy that Andrew's Spider-Man has to go through, especially at the end of TASM 2, that's still, like, when you watch that scene and this is years later and you know what's about to happen, you still cringe. Like, you still are like, I'm not ready. It's hard to watch. And the way he plays that right after the snap, when he's still trying to talk to her, that is the best of both worlds to me, because there's Peter Parker and Spider-Man right in that moment. And Andrew, when Andrew's in the suit and he's got the big Spider-Man eyes, those McFarlane almost eyes, they don't move. They don't have all that, like the Tom Holland Spider-Man eyes. And he puts out more emotion and more just movement and everything. He conveys Spider-Man better without any of that technology or any of that extra CGI. He just does it better in his movements, and it really speaks. But again, kind of like what Jake was saying, these are different times that these movies are made, and they're different scripts and they're different directors, and all these guys have these different things going on. So, you got to give them credit where credit's due, but the TASM series is where it's at, man.
Yeah, Mitch brought up a good point, though, because Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker relates more to me because I had a crush on an ugly girl for no reason once. And I did have a shitty emo phase where I was a douche. So yeah.
What do you mean was?
Well, I'm not emo anymore. There's different. That's all I meant. The emo thing.
I wasn't going to say anything about like, that you're still attracted to an ugly woman because your wife is super beautiful, and I would never talk about Katie like that. But I remember who you kind of hung around in high school, and
I love
when they
those
ride
fives,
horses, they
man.
look like the horse. It's totally fine.
Fives are great.
So Mitch, I do agree with you with Andrew Garfield. I don't know that I can buy his Peter Parker over that of Tobey, or really over Tobey. But one of the most beautiful scenes in Spider-Man No Way Home that I felt like I was privileged to watch was when the three Spider-Men are talking about villains that they faced, and they're talking about things that they've overcome, and they've talked about tragedies that they've endured, and they've talked about the two Uncle Bens and the Aunt May story, and they've shared those things. I thought the way that they interacted with one another was so beautiful and pure from a character perspective.
Right.
I feel like that made the movie, number one. Number two, there was a quote, and I don't remember exactly what it is, from Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, where he was talking about how he's not as good as the other two.
Right.
And I felt like that was a very meta comment, in a sense, where that was a breaking the fourth wall, if you will. He's the only one who never got a trilogy. And what I thought was amazing was when Tobey looked at him and said, "You are amazing." And he used the word amazing.
Yes.
And I felt like that was awesome, because we had Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. And then we had the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. And then we've had Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home, right? So the fact that he used the word amazing, I thought was well placed. I also really like his redemption story. Like, it was one of those ones when I saw MJ falling from the rafters, I knew that was going to be Andrew Garfield that grabbed her, and that was going to be his redemption story. But the way he carried that emotion, the emotion of losing his loved one in TASM 2,
right,
and he portrayed that in Spider-Man No Way Home, it made the transition of the character on the screen feel like there was no time missed. I mean, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 came out, 12 years ago?
2012, I want to say.
Okay, so 10 years ago.
It was the same year as Dark Knight, I think.
But it was beautiful in a sense with his character, that he was able to take that emotion as if there had been no time left.
It was actually filmed in that certain way, and I don't know if you caught this when you were watching it, but it was almost like fan service when people were starting to really figure out that those two were going to be in the movie. They knew that scene in the trailer would kind of play that way. But if you watch, it takes cues from his miss of Gwen, and if you watch him, he actually he grips those planks with two webs and he launches himself off. Yeah. He actually runs and throws himself with extra swing, and he makes no attempt with any webs, and he actually grabs stuff that's falling in front of him, and he makes sure that he has her firmly before he webs up. That's actually like, it's to show you that character did learn from that, which,
yeah,
if you run back into the comics, that's two very similar things. The death of Gwen Stacy happens almost the same way, right off of the bridge, and he realizes later on, and then when he does it again, I forget how many years later, almost on the same bridge, fighting the same goblin, Mary Jane is thrown from it, and he uses multiple webs at multiple points. So it's almost like he carries over the learning from his mistake. I thought that was probably it is actually my favorite scene in that movie because of what it symbolizes.
See,
go ahead. No.
My favorite scene is where they talk about webs and how it could become.
Yeah.
Does it come out of anywhere else?
Like when little Spidey, as I'm going to call him, looks over, and you could tell he probably hit Spidey right when he hit puberty, while the other two were already a little older. I was going, yeah, I thought it too, bro. Don't worry.
I did too.
I want to know.
I was in the theater, and as soon as he launched it from his wrist, and both of them are like, "Whoa!" And then they start talking about it. Dude, I was dying. I had tears in my eyes. It was so funny. I was laughing my ass off. Real quick, what do you guys think of the villains? Like, they brought back the villains, right? They brought back Green Goblin. They brought back Doc Ock. They brought back Electro, Sandman, and the Lizard, right? You got all 5 of those back in the movie. What from those characters did you either enjoy, either from a reminiscing or a nostalgic purpose? What did you enjoy was maybe rectified, maybe the performance, whatever? And let's go, Jake. What did you think of the villain performance?
Green Goblin was amazing. Thought he did the best. Doc Ock was fun. Electro, I understand why it was sort of another thing with. I think a lot of the 2 characters, Lizard and Electro, I think just like Andrew Garfield, that was more fan service to fix all of them, because I think that whole series has sort of been shit on because of a lot of problems. Sandman, I don't know why he's there. I mean, I understand why, because I think for the Electro fight it made more sense, right? But out of all the characters, that's who like I wanted the Vulture. I wanted Scorpion. I felt that Tom's Spider-Man needed more of his own villains, not just everybody else's. And I think that's the one thing that was my biggest disappointment that was missing, that he needed. They've already set these guys up, and you're not going to bring them in. Like, why? Like, you set up the Scorpion in jail. You set up Vulture. We know Morbius is coming out. You know, you have all these guys. I mean, shit. You even have the Shocker, and you don't even bring him in. Like, why did you only bring in from those universes? And I know that goes back to the thing of fan service. So out of all of them, I could have lived without the Sandman, because I think if I ever rank Spidey's villains, number 1 is Venom. We all know that, but 2 would be Lizard.
Are you talking comics or are you talking live action?
Just well, in general, if I just looked at the villains, I would always like Venom, the Lizard, and then Rhino are my favorite. And not the live action Rhino. That was bullshit. I love how they joked about that. But I mean, those are my favorite Spider-Man villains in his gallery. And it just disappointed me. I mean, that's why when the cracks were in the sky during the multiverse, I was happy to see the Rhino in his traditional suit in a sort of silhouette, and Kraven. And I saw Scorpion, Kraven, and the only problem with the Scorpion, he looked like the one from the animated series where he's a half robot. I don't know if you guys caught that.
I saw that. Yeah.
But that's my biggest issues with the villains. I liked them. I felt a lot of it was retconning and fixing a lot of the mistakes they had before. We didn't have problems with Spider-Man from Tobey Maguire's universe. We had problems with the Amazing Spider-Man villains, and then we didn't have enough of Tom's Spider-Man villains, in my opinion.
What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah, I'm kind of right along the same lines there, and I think, again, going into Andrews at the end of. I think it's at the end of TASM 2, they set up a lot of the Sinister Six. There was an end credit scene there, and so we all got robbed. Plus, in a lot of the Oscorp files in there was a Venom project mentioned. There was a Morbius mentioned back then. So all those things have already kind of been set up, and then they were just robbed. But in a sense, only because around that same time is when they were going to bring Tom Holland into the MCU. So Sony had to steer away from that. But now we're going to get this like Sonyverse situation going on with this whole Morbius thing and Venom and all that's going on. But yeah, I could really the only villain that I would want to see more of in that series was the Goblin. All the rest of them you could have taken or left, and definitely wanted to see more of Tom's. He didn't really have too much at stake for himself. He was just fighting everyone else's villains and trying to fix a mistake that kind of he messed up. But it does do good fan service. It brings it connects all that into the Spider-Verse and this now multiverse of madness that we're about to go into. So it kind of brings all that out. But Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin is even 20 years later is still better than any comic book villain on screen right now. I mean, he's dedicated to the role. And just listening to interviews with him and Alfred Molina, the reason Doc Ock and Green Goblin stand out as villains in this movie is because those two actors were so in love with playing those characters and being able to come back and do it. I don't know if you know this, but I think it's Reese Rhys Evans or whoever plays the Lizard, and then Thomas Hayden Church, who plays Sandman. They were never there. That's all stock footage that they used from the old movies.
Yeah.
They came back into the voices later, so they're not even invested in the characters that we're bringing in. So we could have used somebody else or any other kind of combination. I agree with you guys there. It'd be better to see other villains and new takes on villains and stuff. But I mean, we kind of got what we got, right?
Well, what do you think of the villains, B-Word?
So I second everything you guys said. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Thomas Hayden Church's character, Sandman, he didn't die.
No, he's not dead. He had scheduling conflicts, is what it was.
No, he meant
he didn't die.
Oh, you're talking about Sandman himself.
Yeah.
No, he flew away in a.
He just went off. Like he's just in a sandstorm somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's the problem that I had with that character, is that every single one of them were going to die.
Right.
And that's where I thought that Sandman was not going there. Now, did Lizard die?
He didn't. No, he didn't die. He's in a cell at the end of the TASM movie. I think the idea, and I've heard different theories on this, is like it's their destiny to die fighting Spider-Man, either then or at some point. So maybe at this, where they're talking, when Andrew's talking about he stopped pulling his punches and stuff, maybe he killed the Lizard later after the first movie, and maybe Sandman crosses Toby's Spider-Man somewhere, but no.
I can see that. So to answer your question directly, Jake, I think I'm with you. I really wanted to see Michael Keaton in this movie. Mm-hmm. I really thought the Vulture would have had a great place. How he would have gotten out of jail, I don't know. And we know he's coming back from Morbius. So, that's going to be set at whatever time frame, probably after No Way Home. I was not very happy with the Venom mid-credit scene, if I'm being honest.
Oh, I loved it.
Really?
I thought it was good for what it was. I guess it just, I don't know that we're going to see Tom and Tom cross paths.
We don't need to.
You don't need to, yeah. I don't want to see that.
And so my question is that what universe is Tom Hardy in? Like, are we going to get a Amazing Spider-Man 3 movie?
Yes.
And okay, see, that's where I think that's amazing.
It appears Jake and I have done research.
Garfield. It's Andrew Garfield and Tom Hardy. I'm all about that life.
Yes.
Amy Pascal and them have always given away that they want the Sonyverse themselves.
Yes.
Right.
When Tom Hardy's Venom came out. My favorite was I actually watched Venom Let There Be Carnage with my brother when he was in town. And my brother's not the biggest comic book fan, right? But he'll watch movies. And all he goes is, they really fucked that one up. I mean, where are all these jokes coming from? How do you just let him be dark and angry and just kill people? And I go, Caleb, this is why I love watching this movie with you right now, because he was so pissed. He goes, this is just, I don't even know what to say about this movie. But I'll ask this one question, then we can move on. But so I mean, I loved it. The movie like closed up ends, as we said, and cleaned up the timeline, and now we have a lot of options. We can also have TASM 3, which would be fucking amazing. What live action Spider-Man do you want to see next? What version has not came out?
Are you talking about like what story to be adapted or
Sure, you can do either one. Would you rather would you like to see Spider-Man 2099 be live action, or would you rather them write a whole storyline? Like which one would you want next?
I don't know. With all the Into the Spider-Verses and crossovers and things like that, I think you get enough of those characters. I'd like to see one of the, and what I mean is you see, we're going to see 2099. We see Noir again. We're going to see the Scarlet Spider, all that, and they'll mix over. I want to see fully fleshed out storylines come through. I want to see One More Day. I want to see Spider-Man Blue. Just some of those, really just take even some of that source material, but give us a fully finished product. We keep getting, Spider-Man guest appearance in Captain America, 3, and then we get, here he is in one of the Avengers movies, and then in his own solo movie, he's going to go on vacation and fight a water monster. Like, when can we get a full-on dedicated Spider-Man story? And hopefully hopefully you get some of that in TASM 3. I mean, but I think the Sonyverse is going to be really, it's going to be centered around Venom and Morbius and more of the villains, and then I think you'll get a Spider-Man story, but only for one movie. I want to see a start to finish kind of thing, and I think that's where Spider-Man in the MCU kind of fails out, right? Because the MCU has gotten so big that it's almost impossible to do a solo movie without other Marvel characters appearing. They almost have to. So I think the Sonyverse and Spider-Man there, if they continue, is going to be a better story, or even the Into the Spider-Verse stories are going to be better than the MCU going forward. I mean, I really do.
To answer your question, Jake, I think I really want to see a Miles Morales character introduced,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm curious to know who the casting would be. The other thing that I would like to see is I would like to see a fully fledged Spider-Gwen. And here's where it's stupid. You've already introduced the multiverse. I want to see Emma Stone. I want to see Emma Stone as
Cat
Spider-Gwen.
pee mouth?
It'll never happen, but I want to see it.
I think
Her
it
mouth-
will.
Her mouth looks like it smells like cat pee. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
So I want Spider Ham because I'm ridiculous. I
God.
love pigs. It would be fucking all. Here's why. Because whenever we get Spider-Man, we're gonna get like, an actual character. So I want something ridiculous for once. Like when we finally got Howard the Duck, I want a pig Spider-Man running around doing his little piggy thing. But also I'll agree with Mitch. I wish we did more fledged out stories. I mean, I was surprised that you said you didn't like the Venom credit scene B-word, because what they did with Venom and Carnage, like now they can retcon and like sort of fix it in their own universe and do a separation anxiety and Maximum Carnage, which is my favorite Spider-Man storylines. So that would be fucking awesome to do. So but I wish it wouldn't just be cameos and they could dedicate time to actually build and develop a story that makes sense. I mean, I think Spider-Man versus Venom is like a 3-movie arc on its own. Unless I'm wrong.
No, I think that would be a good idea. I agree with both of you on there. Out of the Spider-Man movies, last question on this, and then we'll move on to our next topic. But out of the Spider-Man movies, all of them, okay, you can include Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I just want you to tell me what your favorite one is. So, Mitch, what's yours?
The Amazing Spider-Man.
The first one.
Yeah. I think it was a better origin story. The costume was better because he hadn't fully fleshed it out yet. Even by the end of the movie, he was still kind of he was still trying to figure out what Spider-Man was going to be and what it was going to look like. And I think there was a lot in that movie that talks to the character of Spider-Man. The bridge scene where he's trying to get the kid out of the van, and he's just showing that I'm just a guy, and then when he gets shot and he has to web his own leg up, and he has to really fight through a lot of stuff. There's so many obstacles, but he just won't stop. He won't quit. He won't give up. And then he gets to the top of the building and still has to fight. It was just a great story. The Lizard is not my favorite villain, but it was fun. It was fun watching that whole movie through and through. I think it's the best live action version.
What's yours, B-word? No, you go first.
So originally, even including the standalone Tom films, I thought that Spider-Man 2 was the best. I thought it was a great storyline. I thought it was great characters, great actors. But I think Spider-Man No Way Home might actually take that now, in my opinion. I think I really enjoyed the camaraderie between the three Peter Parkers. I thought Andrew Garfield telling the two of them that he loved them and they both saying thanks at the same time was just this really perfectly awkward response. I think Toby came in as that old man Peter Parker that I was really looking forward to. I don't know how I mean, yes, I have somewhat of a qualm with the characters as far as like the villains and whatever, but it's not so much that I'm just going to toss the movie away and say it's a bad movie. It's a great movie, and I think that one might be my number one now.
See, I feel like that's like when we argue Super Bowls, right? As soon as it's finished, everybody says it's the greatest one ever if it's a good game. And I think people are in that mode right now with No Way Home because of the fan service and how, I mean, it's a good film. I'll say it. It wouldn't be my top. For me, mine is going to be the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man number one. And I know I've said Spider-Man 2, I think, is the better film overall. But the reason I'm picking it is because nostalgia. I remember standing in line to go see that. I remember being pissed off about the Green Goblin wearing armor and changing my mind after William Dafoe's performance. I can remember every little detail of that film and how much, because that was right at the end of an era where superhero movies for us were campy and a little over the top and, like Batman Forever, let's say. But it still went into the seriousness to get us to where we are now. So I think it was the perfect launch pad to get us to the MCU. Because I would love to say The Amazing Spider-Man, because the Lizard is one of my favorite villains, but I feel like it was service to put him in there because we just wanted a new villain. We didn't want the same guys over and over, and everybody's always like, why? We've seen cameos of Connors, and why can't we have Connors, and why can't... And so I felt like it was more of a storyline written around that, if that makes sense. That's why I can't pick The Amazing Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. I would go with Spider-Man 1 just because it got everything started. Toby did a great job. And the acting was impeccable. And it had the best of both worlds. It was campy like Batman, but also serious enough like New Age films. So that's what I would pick.
You know what, man? I don't think there's a bad choice from any of us. I think what they're doing with the entire Spider-Man franchise is killer. I love the fact that they're all connected now. And it's in a digestible manner where we can understand how one fits with the other, etc. So, yeah, good discussion on Spider-Man, guys.
Yeah.
But speaking of fan service, we have quite a bit of folks that are wondering exactly what Bleach Bros is. So I'm going to play this little introduction here real quick, and then we'll get into it.
Dude, what the hell is a Bleach Bro?
What it means to be a Bleach Bro is it means to be a bro at any given moment of any given day. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter the time. Doesn't matter the place. What's going on. That bro's going to be down to get your back. That bro's going to be down to whatever it is you need them to assist you with. That bro is going to be there for you forever.
What is a Bleach Bro? Well, what I think it could stand for and possibly mean is some reason you guys dyed your hair, and then you decided to see if you could make the carpet match the drapes, or the drapes match the carpet, or I don't know exactly. Being that you grew up in Nevada in the middle of nowhere, I think you got real bored or real drunk or probably both and just went for it and, had a fun night and then swore to never say again of what happened.
Hey, this is Beans from the Tall Boy Radio Podcast, and I have a question for you. What on earth is a Bleach Bro?
I think a Bleach Bro is someone who is stuck in the Eminem era, like the late 90s, early 2000s, where they had to bleach their hair to be like everybody else.
I'll tell you what a Bleach Bro is. A Bleach Bro is when you leave your jizzy man goop that smells like bleach on your best friend's towel. Ooh, crispy.
What's a Bleach Bro? A Bleach Bro is a guy with a great sense of humor, tells stories exceptionally well, but has questionable taste in football teams.
Yo, B word. Jay, what the fuck is a Bleach Bro? Muffnucker?
I think you guys just hit the timing with the name perfectly. I mean, we're just coming off of Bleach potentially being a cure for COVID. I think you guys are just tapping into the market at the right time.
What the fuck is up, you Clorox tablets? Bleach Bros. Is it same thing, right? Yeah. The thing that cleans the bottom of the toilet, isn't that what we're talking about tonight? No. Anyway, I'm Gnome from Dad's on Dayquill. Many of you salty hippo nations out there have already heard me and heard these wonderful gentlemen talk about our show. But we're not here to talk about our show. We're here to talk about the Bleach Bros. You know, I have it on good suspicion that if you're a Bleach Bro, it's because you dye your pubes. You know, you want to go with the cool thing of like, you know, it's 2021, so you bleach your assholes, but that's not what we're talking about. You got to think of the age of these gentlemen. You got to think that one of them is a Washington Redskins fan and the other one is a Cowgirls fan. So these guys definitely bleach their pubes, and that's all their name is.
So what exactly is a Bleach Bro?
All right, so obviously people want to hear about how do you become a Bleach Bro? What is a Bleach Bro? People have their own idea of what Bleach Bros are. Who wants to start with the story? Let me, here, I'll start. This was 2000, 2001 maybe?
2001 or 2.
No, this is it's got to be 2 because 3 of you had driver's licenses and I did not.
No, I was the only one who had a driver's license.
No.
I did because I pulled over in the van.
Oh, that was your mom's van.
Made the kid sing the national anthem on the side of the road, told him to get him right. He did a shitty job, so I drove off and left him in the dust.
I was convinced I was going to be the only one who remembered that part of the night. I swear I was going to be the only one.
Remember that little shithead?
That was the best part.
So the best part?
Oh, for me.
So, okay. So in this time period, 2000, 2001, 2002, whatever it was, I dyed my hair. The top of my hair. I bleached
Your hair looked like ramen.
Okay. It did. It did. And it was the whole Justin Timberlake. You bleach the roots, and then when they'd grow out, I'd have the bleach tips and all of that sort of stuff. Well, I had to keep up on the fad. So I remember we were all staying at Jim's house.
Mm-hmm.
And we needed to have entertainment. We needed to have beverages. We needed to have hair bleach.
Bleach.
Right?
We had bleach.
So that way I could fix my hair because my hair was growing out a little bit and I neaded to redo it.
That
right?
was the intention.
Okay. So where did this get off the rails? Who Jake, let's start with you.
Don't ask who. I'm sorry.
Where did this happen? How did we get to where we went?
Okay. And tell me if I'm wrong here, guys. But when we ask who, I think we all know who to point the finger at. And I would like you guys to tell. Yeah, thank you. Am I wrong here, Mitch?
No, it was you.
So all I remember,
guys, I have a great idea.
The talking points: mint shampoo, softcore porn, double-headed dildo in an oven, B-word needing to fix his hair, 4 dudes naked in a room, and somebody's dad telling us dinner's ready.
No, not dinner's ready. Not dinner's ready.
He needed
and
help.
Don't forget about the 3 naked dudes in a shower. And 1 dude waiting to take a shower whose clothes were promptly removed.
Okay, so all I remember is we were bored at Jim's house, and this is long past the times of creating emails and watching Dragon Ball Z and stuff. So we decided to go to Hollywood Video. Am I correct here so far?
Well, I think we stopped by Albertsons first to get the hair bleach.
Right.
Hair bleach.
And then snacks and whatever else we were going to get in your mom's van.
This is pre-Walmart, right?
Yes.
This is pre-Walmart.
Pre-Walmart, yeah.
Walmart didn't come into town until senior year because remember they closed school down for the day for the ribbon cutting because Rump is so fucking cultured. So we're sitting there and we jump in my mom's minivan because the one cool thing about my mom's minivan, everybody could fit in it all the time, right? So we would all jump in, we drive, and we go to Hollywood Video, which was one of B-Word's favorite spots. I remember going there all the time with him. And B-Word somehow convinces us to rent softcore porn and then rather than an actual fucking movie.
I think we went looking for something goofy or something like that.
We found Cruel Intentions.
But there was also something else, right? It was
an alien
movie. Right? Yeah.
There was like alien softcore porn sex, something from space.
The dude with the Jerry curl mullet that somebody we knew was dating. was working at Hollywood Video, and he was like, "Guys, this is where you want to go, right over here to this section." And we were like, "Oh, we trust this guy. I remember."
No, all I know is that we went to go get Cruel Intentions because we were, being young.
It was
guys.
the kiss scene.
Yeah, we were talking. Well, my scene I was talking about is when she says you could put it anywhere, but but then we rented an alien softcore porn and got the bleach, and then went back, and then that's when we pulled over on the side of the road and saw this weird kid.
So we're driving back to Jim's house, right? And so Mitch, you said that you were surprised that anybody was going to remember this. So what do you remember about this particular stop? So I remember sitting in the back, and we opened up the sliding door, and I don't remember who was giving this guy commands.
Well, so Jake was driving. I want to say you and me were in the back, and Jim was in the front seat, and we were ready to give this kid a ride. And Jake says, "You got to sing the national anthem, and we'll give you a ride." And he's and this dude, he's one of these typical like perump kids in his leather jacket and his jeans on the side of Blag. This has to be during like summer break or something. It's over a weekend or so. I know that, but it's 147 degrees in Pahrump, Nevada. This kid's wearing his leather jacket, his hair in a ponytail. I remember that, and he just starts singing the national anthem, and he's going for it, man. I mean,
and here's what I remember next. So he's doing the national anthem. I mean, this guy is giving it the good college try, right?
He fucked it up though.
He did. And so Jake starts peeling out in this front wheel drive van. And I slam the door. And we take off.
I mean, we're gone. This dude is mid verse, trying to figure out his life. And here come 4 dudes in a minivan
with hair bleach.
Yeah.
And
a bunch of popcorn and movies from Hollywood Video. This guy probably thought after the fact, I probably shouldn't have gotten in that van anyway.
Honestly, he missed one of the gayest. He missed one of the most homosexual
experiences of his life. Yeah, man.
No, I bet he joined the army the next day. He realized he needed to reevaluate his life.
He's like, I got to figure out how to sing this song right.
No, he pissed me off because he's saying it wrong. So fuck him.
So we get back to Jim's house. Okay. And we're sitting in Jim's room and we're watching Cruel Intentions.
Well, you gotta set the stage a little bit because Jim's room was
dark and nasty.
It was dark. It was blankets over the windows everywhere. It was multiple TVs. This dude, I'll give Jim this. Yeah, I give Jim this. That dude always had more stuff than like he had like 3 TVs going. There was a PlayStation 2 on one thing. He had a DVD player going on the other. Because Cruel Intentions was playing while someone else was playing PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. I think Jake was playing PlayStation.
Yeah, it's all going on. There's a couch like in the corner.
You and I are sitting on the couch, Mitch.
Of course we are.
And then Jake and Jim are on the bed.
Yeah.
And this is like a full or a twin bed. Like it's not very big.
It's but it's cramping this small room. There certainly should not be this many dudes, this many pieces of furniture, and this many TVs in the same room.
So the intention is that we're going to bleach my hair, right?
Yeah. Well, this was during the time too where me and Jim were super close, and you guys were super close.
Yeah.
And that's how we all 4 became friends, let's be honest with ourselves, is we all sort of knew one of the other, and they're like, oh, let's all meet and all hang out.
And then after this, we got real close.
We got real close because I remember we're playing the PlayStation. Cruel Intentions isn't getting anybody going because I don't know why we were trying to get going, but whatever. You guys all of a sudden go, hey, let's put the softcore porn in.
Well, no, because we paused on that kiss scene where you got the spit in between the 2 ladies' lips. And we paused and played probably 5 or 6 times.
He almost broke the L2 button on his PlayStation controller trying to figure out.
When the spittle came out.
Yeah, you had to like L2 and then you had to X to pause it and then you had to like R1. You had to really mess with it. There was no remote.
Well, that's where I get hazy. Where I don't know where B was like, "Hey guys, we need to dye my hair tonight." Like he was some broad in a salon getting impatient between Cruel Intentions spittle, PlayStation, and his hair dye. But I remember having the bright idea for all of us to bleach our pubes instead and take our pants off.
Yeah.
Am I wrong here?
No,
that
you're
came
not
from
wrong.
you.
Yeah, it did come from Jake. So
He said, "You know what else we could do with this?"
Yep, that's exactly how it started too. He's like, "Well, you could bleach your hair, or you could bleach your hair." So here's what I remember next, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, or adjust my memory in any way you need to. All of us said yes. Now, none of us were inebriated. None of us were high. None of us were under the influence of anything but insulin, right?
That's just me, yeah.
And all of us said, "Hey, that would be a good idea." And then Jim went out to the kitchen and he got Kool-Aid packets and food coloring.
No,
like,
that was after the shenanigans, because somebody I think Jim went for the red first, because remember Jim bleached his chin whiskers too.
Yes, and also it didn't work.
About that.
Jim's hair.
He hit him with the red food coloring, and it looked really bad. But when he did it, Jake was like, "What else do you got?" And then he went for the green food coloring, and the money sign happened above his
No, the
unit.
money sign didn't happen on him. The money sign happened on me.
Oh, yes.
Because here's what happened, okay? So we're...
Hold on, backtrack here before we talk about shaving your pubes into a money sign. So I convinced everybody somehow to take our pants off, and we all start thinking about...
we pulled them down. It wasn't off.
Yeah, we weren't fully,
Not yet.
Not yet. Because we're not at the shower scene yet. Hang on.
No, but I remember you, Mitch, because that's where I gave you the nickname Pancake Nuts, when you were sitting on the brown couch and you whipped it all out, and I just looked over and go, "Man, your nutsack is gigantic."
It's honestly like, there's my grandpa's nutsack, and then there's Mitch's nutsack.
That's right.
Right? Like,
and now
you're a blessed man in the sack world.
And now the internet knows.
Yes.
Pancake
yes.
nuts.
Yeah. So, okay. So somehow so when you're bleaching any sort of hair, it burns, right? It has
like
to
hitting
your follicles. Yeah. And so you have to let it sit to do the work. And so the four of us are massaging the bleach into our pubic area
in Jim's
little
dark
gloves
room.
on.
Yes, in Jim's dark room.
Now, Jim's family
has no
really
boundaries.
Really thick hair and really dark hair, right? Like, their eyebrows have eyebrows. Okay. And Jim's dad comes in, and all four of us have two hands in our pube garden, and we're rubbing these things in, and he looks at us all in the eye, and he's like, "Hey guys, you want a Dr. Pepper?" No, Mr. We don't need a Dr. Pepper.
That, I think, was at the point where we realized, okay, we got to get this rubbed in hard. We have to get this dyed. The spittle scene isn't doing it. The softcore porn isn't doing it. And during that moment, B-Word runs down to their room with the parents unknowing and grabs a Playboy.
No. That was the next day. The next day.
Sorry, then I'll stop that part.
Yeah. So no, at this point, B-Word's nuts hurt. Like, they are burning, bro. Like, this is a pain. Like, I felt the pain of bleach before on the top of my head. No way in my mind did I understand that there was going to be this much pain in my crotch. Okay. So I have the bright idea that I'm going to hop in the shower. So I get in the shower to rinse myself off. And not 2 minutes later, I'm joined by both Jake and Jim, who are also in the buff. And like,
showering.
Jim had this shower head that was removable, that you can spray on places. And I just remember I'm fighting for the shower head so I could rinse my recently bleached pubic hair off because it hurts. and yeah, so then we get in the shower. I leave the shower almost as soon as you two show up in the shower because I was tired of fighting over the shower head.
But as you jump out, Mitch jumps in.
No, he did not.
No,
Well, then who? Okay.
So that's where you and Jim are in the shower, and Jim's got the shower head. And now what's happening is you're on your knees. Get ready, internet. You're on your knees under the bathtub faucet, and you you keep hitting the button so that it switches from shower to bath. And he keeps pulling the button back up. And I don't want to get in there because I can see the chaos. I'll just wait my turn. Thanks.
But at this point, Jim's dad comes back down the hall and opened the bathroom door, and B-word's toweling. You're standing waiting near the sink, and me and Jim are in the shower fighting over the water. And Jim's dad goes, "Hey guys," and tell me if I'm wrong on the quote, but I think I remember, "Dinner's ready. Does anybody need any help?"
Yeah, something to that effect.
Yeah.
Basically, can you all stop because it's getting out of hand?
And B-word just goes, "No, we got it all covered in here."
So it's at this point that I decide I'm tired of being naked with some guys that I'm not inebriated with, and I get dressed. But at that same time, you and Jim are about done in the shower, and Mitch still hasn't taken off his clothes completely yet. And so you guys come out of the shower in towels, and Mitch drops chow, and he gets in the shower. And it's at that point that I steal Mitch's clothes
and all the towels.
And I put him in Jim's sister's room.
Oh, shit, I forgot this part. We were fucked up.
Yeah. Good times, that part.
And so here's Mitch standing dripping from his spritz that he took.
Yeah, with my fresh bleach going on here. Ready to impress the ladies, but not quite yet.
Yeah. And here's Jim's sister with your clothes, and she's like, "Here, Mitch." And she had the biggest crush on you.
Oh yeah.
At that time. It was the worst.
When you look back at that, I think we did the math one time, but either that same weekend or around that same time, my now wife was friends with Jim's sister at the time, and there were times when we were both in that house at the same time but didn't know each other, and I think she was there that weekend or something, but we don't.
That might be the case. But right after that, we decided that we were going to put designs in our pubes with the Kool-Aid.
No, you guys. And so you had the food coloring going on, and then you wanted blue.
I wanted green. I had the green money sign.
Somebody had to have blue, and we had to get in the truck and go get it.
I wanted blue.
Do you remember that part?
I do. And I'll let you go over this.
So
this part.
This is probably the dumbest thing that Brian and I could have done, because we had that blue truck that was probably the most noticeable thing in Pahrump at the time, and for some reason you and I thought it would be smarter if we were in the driver and passenger seat while the other two laid under blankets in the camper shell in the back, because
yes,
there was a reason why you and I couldn't get pulled over. We didn't want to be, because we would have been found out.
Oh yes, quickly,
and sent to detention immediately. So looking back on it, I'm like, why didn't we take a less conspicuous vehicle and you and me hide?
Yeah.
But no, we were the ones in the front seat driving the worst car we could think to drive. And we went to gas station after gas station.
Yeah.
All over that thing trying to find out. And I don't think we found blue coolant.
I don't think we found the blue.
Because I eventually did red, and I shaved PV into mine for Pahrump Valley and said I was going to leave the V, the bleach color, for gold, and do the P red. And then I remember trying to show it off in Mr. Nanny's calculus class and getting in trouble. But after that, I remember
before we go into like the reveal to other people of what we did, I think we have to talk about the next day.
Yeah.
And what we found in that fifth wheel.
Well, can I tell you this, though? The only other problem I had with that evening was...
because nothing else was
the
was out of
only
place.
other concern that I had.
When everybody decided to go to bed and I didn't, and I decided to stay up and watch the softcore by myself, and I have a fascination with coming on carpets, as we know.
Oh my
Where
God.
B-Word woke up and rolled over, and I'll never forget this quote. He goes, "I don't know if it's smaller when you get hard." And I proceeded to try to plead my case. I go, why am I talking to him right now while I'm trying to finish the 3 dudes in the room?
Oh, for the listeners, I'm sorry. You can unsubscribe. It's fine. This happened. This is the name Bleach Bros and how it was originated. But there's more to the story. And the more to the story is that, as I said, Jim's family was rather hairy. And his dad was an avid collector of Penthouse magazines, was it? Or Hustler magazines? I don't remember. One of the two.
Either one, yeah.
And they were in mint condition. And he had a stack of them that I didn't know were organized in a specific way that he knew how they were organized. So when I saw him, I was like, I'm grabbing the one out of the middle. And I did. And Jim got pissed at me because I grabbed one out of the middle. And then as I went to hand it back to him, there was a Polaroid
photo
that fell out
of the hair.
And we were we were trying to figure out why Cousin It wore a thong.
It looked like Snuffleupagus' eyelash.
There it is.
Was on top of somebody's vagina.
Go ahead.
Snuffy's lashes just flapping next to those two lips. It was hey bird.
Oh my God.
Elmo's World.
Oh, yeah,
it's a mess.
So what does Bleach Bros mean, do you ask? Well, it's not because of COVID, and it's not because we want you to get sanitized per se. It's because we did the most homoerotic, weird thing that we've ever done.
Self-exploration.
Yeah, yes. But in a time when we really didn't know that's what we were doing.
You're correct. You're correct. And there was no social media.
No.
So it wasn't documented.
If there was, that would have been all over the grams a long time ago, I'm sure.
Oh, man. So one last question to finish this up. So, Jake, you were talking about you showed somebody. What happened there?
When I showed them in class?
Yeah.
Oh, I ripped my pants off and got in trouble like usual in school. It was another
day for Jake.
Guys,
it was
you guys
fine.
Remember how often my pants were off in school? I remember we'd hang out back. Like, remember we were the kids during the lunchtime that would hang out near the stucco wall.
Yeah, that little
remember
courtyard.
When I decided to drop everything on the stucco wall? Yeah, that was just another day. I mean, I don't have much more to say. We weren't sorry.
So, Mitch,
I don't
revealed it.
I don't think I never revealed it to anybody. I never showed anyone. I don't remember doing that. But over the years, I've told that story to many people because they don't believe me. But it really happened. I was there, and now you've corroborated the story. But I always get those weird looks because I don't think people today or people you meet, they don't, people forget what that was like in 2000, being in high school at that time. We're in that weird time frame, like just right before the internet, everything became so easily accessible. You still just had good times with your friends. I mean, weird, strange times, but,
yeah.
But good times, I wouldn't, I don't know. I don't think you can get away with doing that today.
No.
But 20 years ago, it was a blast.
Yeah. Well, I remember I revealed it to two people. One of them, not necessarily by choice, I felt more or less forced. And then the other one was my girlfriend, and well, we were doing other things. So the one where I somewhat felt forced was interesting because, like Jake said, he went pantsless, and the story spread like a wildfire around school as to what happened. And then there was also a question why Jim's was a burnt orange color and all the rest of ours was total
Nice
bleach blonde, and it has to do with their family's hair lineage. But there was this gay guy, and I didn't know he was gay at the time. Named Michael. I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I know who
and
you're talking about.
We were in a science class, and he says, "Hey, I heard you did this," and I said, "Yeah, we did." He says, "Can I see it?" And of course, I didn't think anything of it. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So I pull my front of my pants down, and he looks at it, and he puts his finger in his mouth, and he's like, Yeah, that was the moment I was done showing people.
See, I don't know what your guys' problem is. I tell this story to fucking everybody. I'd do it in an interview if they asked me. I don't care. Like, I'm that guy.
No. Like I'll tell the story.
Yeah,
I'll tell the story for sure.
I showed everybody. I told everybody. I was proud. I was happy about it. And I get this all the time. Jake, that's the gayest shit you ever done. And the problem is I always have to go, no, it isn't.
No, it isn't.
Well, it's probably in my top 2. Let's put it that way. But for the sake of time, Mitch, thanks so much for coming on to the show. It's great catching up with you, buddy. Love the content you brought with Spider-Man and stuff. We'll definitely have you on again. Talk a little bit more about some of the nerd stuff that we all enjoy and whatnot. So again, appreciate you coming on. Much respect and definitely love telling the story again.
Yeah, had a lot of fun with you guys. It's great to see you again. Good to talk to you. Stay healthy, stay safe, all there in your corners of the world. And thanks for having me on. What a blast.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Absolutely. All right, Jake. Well, with that, what do you got for me?
Thanks for all the dirty talk. Come back and get sanitized. This is Jake from the Bleach Bros podcast, and thank you for listening to today's episode. I want to bring to your attention our Linktree. Visit Linktree/Bleach Bros podcast for access to all of our socials, merch, and streaming sites. Linktree is linktr.ee/Bleach Bros podcast, all one word. And if you enjoy our content, make sure to give us a like, give us a review on whatever platform you are listening on, and also invite your friends. If you're a fan of our show, be sure to check out this one to stay sanitized.
So 2021 is upon us, and instead of flying cars and monkey robot butlers, we have a pandemic. We have media making every little annoying twit of a child think they're going to be the next famous celebrity because they did some stupid trend they've seen somebody else doing 9 million times. We have people that are self-entitled and stupid and given a voice through social media constantly whining about how everybody else is the problem and how everyone else needs fixing. We have celebrities lecturing us about how we have to give more so we can elevate everyone to a better life from the security of their 7-bedroom, multi-million-dollar estates. We have politicians lying to us that they're going to fix the situations we're in that they created in the first place. And then we've got me having the conversations that a lot of us are thinking but nobody's talking about. Because these things have to be said. I Had to Say It, the podcast. Available wherever you get your podcast fix or at www.ihadtosayitpodcast.com. Why don't you come listen to what I've got to say?